is hidden from you. Oh, yes, Lord Jesus. Oh, yes, Lord you. Oh, yes, Lord Maria. Six days before the Passover, Jesus went to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom he had raised from the dead. They gave a dinner for him there. Martha waited on them, and Lazarus was among those at table. Mary brought in a pound of very costly ointment, pure nard, and with it anointed the feet of Jesus, wiping them with her hair. The house was full of the scent of the ointment. Then Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the man who was to betray him, said, "Why wasn't this ointment sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He was in charge of the common fund and used it to help himself to the contributions. So Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She had to keep this scent for the day of my burial. You have the poor with you always. You will not always have me." Meanwhile, a large number of Jews heard that he was there and came not only on account of Jesus, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. Then the chief priests decided to kill Lazarus as well, since it was on his account that many of the Jews were leaving them and believing in Jesus. The Lord would say the same thing to those who criticize those who give themselves to a life of gratuitous praise, no earthly use to the world, it would seem. It would completely be a nonsense for a young man or a young woman to go to an enclosed life and do nothing for the world. That was what was being told me in student days, and I wrote that to the novice master of La Trappe way back in 1974 or 5, and he wrote back, quoting the Lord, "Ut quid ec perditio," the criticism made by Judas, "what use this waste?" And the Lord has his own answer, and that is enough for any who criticize a life of gratuitous praise which has no sense for man on earth. The angels have no function either quite often, but the Lord saw well to create them for gratuitous praise. The birds also have little function, but they praise him with gratuitous praise. And so it is that the Lord receives this praise from a woman. The amount of money involved would have been around the amount gained by a labourer in a whole year. This was very costly ointment, and the whole of it went. He would also say this to us with regard to the encounter at the Eucharist, when we have other things to do, when we are in a hurry to get away. when even the church notices are more important than his presence. You have the poor with you always. Me, you do not always have. The Eucharistic presence in the soul demands total attention, and that is an interiorization of what here is exteriorized by the ointment. All the attention of the soul. This Monday is called in Italy the Monday of the perfume, Lunedì del profumo, and we do well to break the jar also and be a perfume of gratuitous praise. We don't need to justify an apparent waste of time on the King of Kings who gave it to us gratuitously. Sacramento, Sacramento, et antiquum documentum, novo cegatricum, prestet fide supplementum, sensum Dei fictum. Compasit nard.